Welcome back. We've officially reached over 80,000 views and 1,900 subscribers this month thanks to all of you. I just want to let you know that I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm going to strive to bring you the best content I can. If you like these videos and haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and beat that subscribe button into submission. It helps YouTube gauge how much you like this content and whether to recommend these videos to others. Today's narration will feature 5 normal-looking videos, each with exceptionally disturbing backstories. If you make it to the end of this narration and find yourself wanting more, go ahead and comment below for consideration of a regular series. Without further ado, let us begin. This first video is one that has been made popular around the internet. Without context or prior knowledge, it appears like any other home video. You will see a plain-looking Midwestern man speaking with his parents about work, chores around the house he's been putting off, and bad choices related to his dining habits. You might feel as if this man looks familiar to you somehow. That is because this man is none other than the infamous Milwaukee cannibal, Jeffrey Dahmer. At the time of this video, he has committed between 1 to 3 murders, and what makes this home video even more eerie is that he relays his desire of wanting to reduce his fast food intake and eat at home on a more regular basis. I think we all know what he means by eating at home. Here's the video in its entirety.
So what have you been doing lately? Working and working and working and working?
Working next week, starting Monday. I go back to work Sunday nights.
Oh,
and,
boy. So you go back to work this Sunday night?
Right. Yep.
You're looking good though. You look nice and trim.
Oh, that's good to hear.
You look like you're working out.
No.
Aren't you?
Oh, I haven't worked
Looking
out.
at Jeff, he looks entirely normal, clean cut, very nicely dressed, responds very sociably. You still keep up your membership there though.
Yeah, it's only
There's nothing to indicate, really, that he had recently killed people.
No, I've been surviving on McDonald's food for, since I moved down there.
Well, you're looking good. Grandma was saying
Thanks.
that she thought that you got quite a bit thinner, but you look fit. I don't know.
Well, I've been surviving mostly on McDonald's food. It's just so much easier just to pop into a restaurant. But
Yeah,
like I said before, it gets too expensive, and
it does.
I have to start eating at home more.
And of course, you woke up at what, 8 this morning?
Right.
And then you cleaned up your apartment really nicely so you could show us what it looks like.
Yeah, I want you to come over if you feel like it. I haven't done any dusting or vacuuming or anything. I do that on Sundays. But,
Do you know who the other person is there? That beautiful blonde sitting on the couch? Yawning?
And Cherry.
That's right.
And who is this?
Yes.
That's Cousin Jeff.
Yes.
Oh my word! Did you see what he did? He's stone free.
Looks like a bunch of satisfied people sitting around here.
Did you get Topper and Grandma's lap?
Yes.
Between 1978 and 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer killed and dismembered 17 boys and men. Out of these 17 victims, Dahmer would go on to consume the flesh of 15 of these individuals. In an interview, Dahmer stated, "I had these obsessive desires and thoughts about wanting to control them, to, I don't know how to put it, possess them permanently, not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me. As my obsession grew, I was saving body parts such as skulls and skeletons." He insisted that if he wasn't taken into police custody, his gruesome killings would have continued, and further stated, "I can't think of anything that would have stopped me." This next video features a seemingly charming man on a show called The Dating Game. Most would consider Mr. Rodney Alcala a smooth individual from his appearance on this show, but little would they know that Alcala likely had more sinister plans for the young woman the show would set him up with. Play the video.
Bachelor number 1 is a successful photographer who got his start when his father found him in the dark room at the age of 13, fully developed. Between takes, he might find him skydiving or motorcycling. Please welcome Rodney Alcala. Rod, welcome. You know, there are 3 bachelors over there. There'll be 1, 2, and 3. Ask them anything you like to find out more about them, except their name, age, occupation, or income, okay? And we're going to start by having them say hello to you and see how they sound. Number 1, would you say hello to Cheryl, please?
We're going to have a great time together, Cheryl.
And here we go.
Bachelor number 1,
Yes.
what's your best time?
The best time is at night, nighttime,
Why do you say that?
because that's the only time there is.
The only time? What's wrong with morning, afternoon?
Well, they're okay, but nighttime's when it really gets good. Then you're really ready.
I'm a drama teacher, and I'm going to audition each of you for my private class. Bachelor number 1.
You're a dirty old man.
Take it.
Come on, over here. I'm called the Banana, and I look really good.
Can you be a little more descriptive?
Peel me.
Later, Bachelor 1. Later.
Welcome back to the dating game, and Cheryl, we have reached the moment of truth, as we call it. You've heard from the bachelors, you got some great dramatic presentations, some good answers, but now I'm going to ask you a question. Will that date be bachelor number 1, bachelor number 2, or bachelor number 3? Who gets the dates?
Well, I like bananas, so I'll take 1.
Number 1, bachelor number 1, all right. You can go relax, meet each other, say hello, get acquainted.
By the time of his appearance on the show, Rodney had already begun ending the lives of several women and was most likely using this method as a way to seek attraction without giving himself up. Alcala was conclusively linked to 8 murders, but authorities believe the number of victims could be as high as 130. Alcala compiled a collection of more than 1,000 photographs of women, teenage girls, and boys, many in sexually explicit poses. In 2016, he was charged with the 1977 murder of a woman identified in one of his photos. Prosecutors have said that Alcala toyed with his victims, strangling them until they lost consciousness, then waiting till they revived, sometimes repeating this process several times before finally ending their lives. One police detective described Alcala as a killing machine, and others have compared him to Ted Bundy. The third video contains 2 separate news clips where television station WGXA interviews a man known as Stephen McDaniel. The video starts off pretty normal. McDaniel is asked about a missing classmate, Lauren Giddings, who was reported missing on June 30th, 2011. His answers are fairly tame, but as the woman interviewing McDaniel begins to mention a recently found body, Stephen begins to lose his composure. He has to sit down and begin the interview again. Here are the clips.
Yeah, Lauren was my neighbor. We're just trying to find out where she is at this point. I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. I mean, the last time anyone heard from her was an email that she sent out, and no one's heard from her since.
Did you see her hang out with anyone at the time, anything like that?
I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday. I haven't seen anything. I mean, you always hear noise outside, but it's just people walking by pretty much.
And she just recently graduated from Mercer?
Yeah, she and I were both JD students. We graduated back in May.
What kind of person was she? I mean, what did you see?
I mean, she's as nice as can be. I mean, very personable, very much a people person.
Do you know any enemies she might have had, somebody that might want to hurt her?
No, we don't know where she is. I mean, the only thing we can think is that maybe she went out running and someone snatched her. Because I mean, we went over. One of her friends had a key. We went inside and tried to see if there was anything amiss, but I mean, she had a door jamb that was sitting right by it, so there was no sign that anyone broke in. I mean, the door was locked when everyone got here. I mean, we just don't know where she is.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of. I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Had you heard? Had you seen anything there? Had you seen anything there? I mean, we don't know if this is the same person. You know what I mean? Like, they took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. That's why we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay. Studying for the bar?
No one had seen her since Saturday because we all just, there's not a whole lot of interaction unless we're doing classes.
Right.
And she was doing the online version of it.
You all studied together, though?
We were in, there's two different people, there's two companies that provide it. Kaplan provides it and Barbary provides it. I signed up with Barbary and I've been doing the lectures that they have in the mornings. She was doing the Kaplan online, so I hardly ever saw her. I would see her like go out running, but
What time would she go out running?
I don't even know when.
Was it at night or morning?
I saw her like midday a couple weeks ago. That was the last time I saw her, was coming back from the bar prep on the main campus because we got moved over there for a week or two.
But she normally would run. That was the
Yeah,
routine that she had.
she ran all the time. She had a group that she would go running with. I don't know anyone that would want to hurt her. She was as nice a person as there is.
Was she moving soon? Did you know anything about her?
Yeah. She was going to be moving out today. She was supposed to move out today because someone else was going to be moving into her apartment in the new law school.
Do you know if she was like, where is she from? Is she from Maryland?
Yeah, she's from up in Maryland.
Put this on you so we can hear you. Is that all right?
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Here, and you can just hold on to that. Thank you.
Yeah, she's from Maryland.
Yeah, she was from up in Maryland. All her family was there, as far as I know. She.
What's going on in your mind right now? Like, what are you thinking?
Why would anyone do this?
She didn't hear anything?
No. I just heard something. Maybe I could have helped.
Okay, don't worry. Do you want to sit down for a second? Get something to drink?
Do you know if a bunch of her friends are getting together or anything?
That's how I found out that she was missing. A bunch of her friends came over yesterday night around midnight, and they hadn't seen her since Saturday, so they were trying to find out where she was.
So they were knocking on neighbors' doors and stuff?
They went in, they had a key to her apartment, and they checked around, didn't see anything out of place. It was locked when everyone got there.
That was midnight?
Yeah, around midnight, and then we went over to law school, see if maybe she was over in the library studying or something. And we looked up in the study rooms on the third floor, and there was no one there. And we came back, we looked around, and just tried to find anything to figure out where she was.
She doesn't have any family in Georgia?
I don't know. As far as I know, all of her family is from in Maryland.
Have you met her family before?
There was one time that I met them. They came down first year. She had a little dog, a little brown dog, that she would exercise out in front of the law school, and it got hit as she was coming across the road. I heard the car hit it and ran out, and she was there crying, and thankfully there was someone who came along who knew a vet or something, and they helped that, and her family came down I think a couple weeks after that or something. I met them just briefly.
Right.
But
Her boyfriend or
we've been trying to figure out. She has a boyfriend up in Atlanta, but someone called him, and he hadn't heard from her. No one could figure out where she was.
So it's
the last person to be with her? You said that somebody had seen her on Saturday?
Yeah, she went over to a couple friends' house, Gary Mueller and Joe Cairns. They live over on Walnut, and they said that she was over there in the morning, and then that was the last time that anyone we've been able to find out from had seen her.
She hadn't mentioned what she was going to do that day or anything?
Joe, he got onto her computer last night to see if she had said anything. She'd sent an email out to some people that afternoon talking about like going out to eat or something. And the last thing that there was an email that she sent out after 10 that night where she sent to, I think it was someone in Atlanta, a friend of hers in Atlanta, and she said that she was afraid in her apartment that she thought that someone had tried to break in on Thursday night, and she was afraid to stay in there. But
where did you hear that from Joe?
He pulled it up and we read it off the screen.
She had said that to a friend in Atlanta?
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but...
And you hadn't heard anything on Thursday night?
No.
She never came to you to tell you anything?
No, if she had, I could have done something. I could have lent her a handgun. I've got a little handgun that I have for defense. And
Or she could have slept over or something?
yeah, something. If she was afraid in her apartment, then, get her out of there.
Is that tried to break in on Thursday?
That's what she said in the email. She thought that someone had tried to break into her apartment. She said, like, Macon hoodlums tried to break into my apartment on Thursday night.
Is that her car parked there? The Chevy?
No.
Small car?
No, I think that's the detective's car, Detective
her
Patterson.
car's not even there?
No, it was here earlier, and they towed it. It'd been there for days, and then they towed it to, I guess, look through, see if there was...
The police.
Yeah.
How did you find out that something was wrong with the police here? Was it like when you walked up a little while ago, or...?
No, the police were called last night, and they came and they looked around. They didn't see anything. They went in, we looked around the place. No sign of a struggle, no sign that anyone had broken in, just nothing. Just she was gone. All of her stuff was there, her ID was there, her wallet was there.
McDaniel and Giddings lived in neighboring apartments and were both classmates at Mercer University. On June 26, 2011 at 4:30 a.m., outfitted with a mask and gloves, McDaniel used a master key to gain access to Giddings' apartment. He would strangle her to death by his hands in her bedroom before dismembering her body in the bathroom with a hacksaw. Giddings' torso was discarded in a trash can outside the apartment complex, while most of her remains were tossed in a dumpster on campus. It wasn't until July 2nd when more information was discovered. McDaniel voluntarily visited the police station and provided his statement about the event. His interrogation lasted 12 hours, and investigators were able to link several pieces of evidence to him, including the hacksaw he committed the atrocity with. In August, McDaniel was charged with murder, and in 2014 he accepted a plea deal to avoid the death penalty in exchange for his account of the murder. McDaniel is currently serving life in prison and in 2022 filed an appeal and request for a new trial, which was promptly rejected by a judge in Richmond County. Some of Giddings' remains are still unaccounted for to this day. Video number 4 appears to be an average task for an average individual, until you factor in recent events. Jahar Surnayev and his family immigrated to the U.S. from Kyrgyzstan in 2002 seeking asylum. Jahar's father worked as a mechanic and his mother worked as a cosmetologist. In 2007, the family was granted permanent residence, and in 2012, Jahar became a naturalized U.S. citizen while attending college at the University of Massachusetts. I know what you're thinking. This sounds like the ever so elusive American dream, mentioned only in ancient fables. Well, that would be the case, if we weren't talking about one of the most recent and relevant domestic terrorists to date. I'm going to roll the video and see if you recognize him for yourself. As his familiar face begins to gain recognition, I'm sure you've now realized that Jahar Tsarnaev is the well-known and deeply despised Boston Marathon bomber. In the video, he may look like any normal, unsuspecting, and innocent citizen, but less than 30 minutes prior, Tsarnaev committed an absolute atrocity that would scar itself into American history forever. Jahar Tsarnaev killed 3 people and injured over 260 by detonating 2 pressure cooker bombs within 14 seconds apart and 210 yards of the finish line, with help of his brother Tamerlan on April 15, 2012. On April 8, 2015, Tsarnaev was found guilty on 30 charges and sentenced to death. On July 31, 2020, a unanimous panel of the Circuit Court reversed his death sentence, and on March 4, 2022, the Supreme Court reinstated his death penalty. Jahar is currently awaiting execution in a federal prison in Florence, Colorado, where he will inevitably answer for his crimes, one way or another. The last video is the shortest, yet some would consider it a contender for the most disturbing video in this lineup. The video displays a young man who appears exceptionally gifted at Dance Dance Revolution, an arcade game where the player steps on one of 4 pressure sensors dictated by a screen with arrows. Now, there's nothing creepy about young adults playing video games, right? That would be true if we weren't talking about one of the most prolific mass murderers of the 21st century. You know the drill. Let's just play the video. I'm sure many of you have seen this one circling around the information superhighway. But the man in the video is Adam Lanza, and this video takes place not long before he walks into an elementary school and commits murder. The Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting occurred on December 14, 2012 in Newtown, Connecticut, when 20-year-old Adam Lanza shot and killed 26 people. 20 of the victims were children between 6 and 7 years old, and the other 6 were adult staff members. Earlier that day, before driving to school, Lanza had shot and killed his mother in their Newtown home. As first responders arrived at the school, Lanza committed suicide by shooting himself in the head. The incident is, at the time that I'm writing this, the deadliest mass shooting in Connecticut history, and the deadliest mass shooting at an elementary school in U.S. history. It is also the second deadliest school shooting in the U.S. and the 4th deadliest mass shooting overall. A November 2013 report issued by the Connecticut State Attorney's Office concluded that Lanza acted alone and planned his own actions, but provided no indication why he did so or why he targeted the school. A report issued by the Office of the Child Advocate in November 2014 said that Lanza had Asperger's syndrome and as a teenager had depression, anxiety, and obsessive-compulsive disorder, but concluded that they had neither caused or led to his murderous acts. The report went on to say, his severe and deteriorating internalized mental health problems combined with an atypical preoccupation with violence and access to deadly weapons proved a recipe for mass murder. On December 4, 2013, 7 911 calls related to the shooting were made public, which I will cover in another video. Although Adam Lanza committed terrible acts that can never be forgiven, I sometimes wonder if any of it could have been prevented by a simple outstretched hand and a friendly ear. Perhaps we should all take the time, once a week, once a month, or hell, even once a year to check on someone who may be having a difficult time. I'm sure one positive conversation could turn someone's life around. Once again, I would like to thank each and every one of you for helping to grow this channel and providing your support and suggestions in the comments. Speaking of support, go ahead and start a serious 3-year relationship with the like button before promptly breaking up with it over text with no explanation whatsoever. And let me know if you'd like me to continue making videos like this one in the comments below. We live in trying times, and I know sometimes it can be difficult to cope with some of the events happening in the world. That's why, if you ever find yourself struggling to sleep because of all the thoughts racing in your head, you should just let them out. After all, I'll be under the bed listening.